Good morning. I'm Claire. Because I'm the teacher, I get to be called Ms. Claire for now. I hope you are doing well. I know a lot of you are stuck at home, and if you're super lucky, your parents are working while you're home. But that also means they're busy, and every time you have something super cool to share with them, they're not ready to listen always when you want, huh? I know that's true because I'm a mom. I have two boys, but they're really big right now. They are 19, and on Monday, my oldest will be 21. So let's see if I have a picture of them. Here's a good one. This is Isaac. He's the one that's going to turn 21 on Monday. And then this is, this is Ansel. Isn't he a cutie? He is 19. And if you want to know what they look like today, this is what they look like today. And that's me, and then that's my husband, Stefan. All right, so since we can't all hang out together, I had this idea of something we could do together that you could do that would be just for you, and it will allow your parents to do that work that they do. So I used to, before I have the job I have today, I used to be a teacher, and I taught kindergartners and second graders and third graders and fourth graders, and I loved it. And one of the things I miss the most is reading books. So I have a very small stack of books here. We have lots of books in our house. I have a very small stack of books here, and I thought I would read to you. I hope you like it. I haven't been using my reading out loud voice for a while, so I hope I can still do it. And I am starting with this book, and this book is pretty special. So it's called Purple, Green, and Yellow, and it's by a author named Robert Munsch. I hope I said his name right. And the illustrator is French. My French isn't very good. Hélène, that's a pretty name. Desputeaux. Here, I'm going to show you so you can see it, because maybe you can pronounce it better than I can. Because you know what? At the end of the day, we're all learners and we're all teachers. So what's special about this book is I was actually a teacher when Isaac was born, and he's my first baby, right? And he's going to be how old on Monday? 21. Well, this was given to me by one of my students who was a third grader. And she said, dear, you can see the inscription. I'm not very good at this lighting. If my son Ansel was awake, he'd be helping me. But it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, so he's asleep. Dear Ms. Rosso, we have a tradition in our family called the Mother Bookshelf. We put books on there that are so fun that adults enjoy reading them over and over to their children. This book is a favorite of mine. Maybe it can be a start for your Mother Bookshelf. Every time you read it to Isaac, I hope you remember me. And it was from Kylie Hall. And Kylie Hall, I have no idea what she's doing now. She's probably like 30 years old or something. But she was a wonderful girl that was in my class, super smart. So I imagine she's doing whatever a super smart 8-year-old does when they're 30. She had a brother who was 2 years ahead of her in school, and I taught him when he was in 4th grade. His name was Lachlan Hall. Also, like super smart, kept me on my toes as a teacher. And now, so we read the inscription in the book from Kylie, who was my student, who, if you will recall, is now maybe 30 years old. Because let's see, she would have been 8. Oh, no, that's wrong. She would have been 8, and Isaac is about to be 21. So what's 8 plus 21? I know the answer. Do you know the answer? I'll give you a minute to figure it out. I also want to teach you a trick that I learned when I was teaching to teach kids when they were learning how to add. So if you can even add up to 21 and you know that, and you know you have to add 8 more, and this is how many 8 more is, it's okay in the beginning if you count on your fingers. So if I know 21, I say 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So Kylie's probably 29. She's not quite 30 yet. Maybe she'll turn 30 this year, maybe next year. I have no idea where she is. Did I say that already? Okay, look at these beautiful pictures. Sorry, there's a little glare. I'm going to see if I can fix the glare without knocking my camera to the ground again. It's a pretty picture. Okay, let's see what it says. Bridget, that's our heroine in this book, Bridget. Bridget went to her mother and said, I need to have some coloring markers. They draw wonderful pictures, Mommy. I need some coloring markers. I'm going to scoot back so maybe you can see the picture at the same time. Oh, no, said her mother. I've heard about those coloring markers. Kids draw on walls. They draw on the floor. They draw on themselves. You can't have any coloring markers. Should parents sometimes say that? I used to say that to my kids. Look at this picture. Looks like maybe she gets the coloring markers. Well, said Bridget, there are these new coloring markers. They wash off just with water. I can't get into any trouble with coloring markers that wash off. Give me some of those. Well, said her mother. All right. So her mother went out and got Bridget 500 washable coloring markers. Bridget went up to her room and drew wonderful pictures. You can see her drawing the wonderful pictures behind the glare. You're going to all be so glad when Ansel wakes up and helps me figure this out. She drew wonderful pictures. She drew lemons that were yellower than lemons, and roses that were redder than roses, and oranges that were oranger than oranges. Her mother was amazed. She said, wow, my kid is an artist. But after a week, Bridget got bored and said, Mom, did I draw on the wall? No, said her mother. Did I draw on the floor? No, said her mother. Did I draw on myself? No, said her mother. We mothers, we get suspicious about these things that you kids do. Well, said Bridget, I didn't get into any trouble and I need some new coloring markers. All my friends have them. Mommy, they are the coloring markers that smell. They have ones that smell like roses and lemons and oranges, and even ones that smell like cow plops. Mom, they have coloring markers that smell like anything that you want. Mom, I need those coloring markers. Her mother, who apparently seriously is a pushover, can you believe this? Her mother went out and got 500 coloring markers that smell. Then Bridget went upstairs and she drew pictures. She drew lemons that smelled like lemons, and roses that smelled like roses, and oranges that smelled like oranges, and cow plops that smelled like cow plops. It's a pretty awesome picture. That Hélène, she's a good artist. Her mother said, wow, my kid is an artist. But after a week, Bridget got bored. Mom, did I draw on the floor? No, said her mother. Did I draw on the walls? No, said her mother. Did I draw on myself? No, said her mother. Well, said Bridget, I need some new coloring markers. These These are the best kind. All my friends have them. They are super, now listen carefully, they are super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers. Mom, I need them. So her mother went out and got, her mother seriously is a pushover, who like just goes out and buys these things for their kids every time they ask. She didn't have to do any chores. She didn't have to keep her room clean for a month. Man, Bridget has a pretty easy life. Things are harder if you were a kid in my house. Anyway, so her mother went out and bought 500 super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later, coloring markers. Bridget took them and drew pictures for 3 weeks. She drew lemons that looked better than lemons, and roses and oranges that looked better than oranges, and roses, and sunsets that looked better than sunsets. Pretty amazing. Then, okay, this is totally not going to surprise you at all because you're super smart. I know. You should know when Isaac and Ansel were little, we named our school that we used to play all the time, and our school was called Ms. Claire's School for Geniuses. I think you're all pretty smart too, and you can be part of Ms. Claire's School for Genius. So anyways, as you guessed, she got bored. She said, I'm tired of drawing on paper. But I'm not going to draw on the walls, and I'm not going to draw on the floors, and I'm not going to draw myself. But everybody knows it's okay if you if you color your fingernails. So Bridget took a purple, super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring marker, and she colored her thumbnail bright purple. Oh, and that was so pretty that she colored all her fingernails purple, black, and yellow. And that was so pretty, she colored her hands yellow, green, and red. You really are going to love it when Ansel gets up and I get this light right. And that was so pretty, she colored her face purple, green, yellow, and blue. And that was so pretty, she colored her belly button blue. Now, don't all you go right off and start coloring your bodies, because you just wait and see what happens here. And that was so pretty, she colored herself all sorts of colors, almost entirely all over. Then Bridget looked in the mirror and said, oh, what have I done? My mother is going to kill me. So she ran into the bathroom and washed her hands for a half an hour. Nothing came off. Her hands still looked like mixed up rainbows. Then she had a wonderful idea, because she is Bridget and she is full of wonderful ideas. She reached way down to the bottom of the coloring markers and got out a special colored marker. It was the same color that she was. She took that marker and colored herself all over until she was the regular color again. So this is what she looked like before, and this is what she looks like after. In fact, she looked better than before. Almost too good to be true. She went downstairs and her mother said, why, Bridget, you are looking very good today. Right, said Bridget. She was probably super nervous her mom would figure out what happened. Then at dinner, her mom said, Bridget, it's time to wash your hands. But Bridget was afraid that the special color would not stick to the colors underneath. So she said, oh, I already washed my hands. But her mom, because her mom may be a pushover, but her mom is pretty smart, said, and smelled her hands and said, "Ah, no soap." So she took Bridget into the bathroom and washed her hands and face. All the special color came off, and Bridget looked like a mixed up rainbow. Oh no, said her mother. Bridget, did you color your hands with the coloring markers that wash off? No, said Bridget. Bridget, did you color your hands with the coloring markers that smell? No, said Bridget. Did you use the super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers? Yes. Yikes, said her mother. She called the doctor. That's kind of funny. And said, "Help, help, my daughter has colored herself with super indelible, never come off till you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers." "Oh dear," said the doctor. "Sometimes they never come off." The doctor came over and gave Bridget a large orange pill. I'm not sure pills are actually the answer, by the way. Definitely not my doctor. And she said, "Take this pill, wait 5 minutes, and take a bath." So Bridget took the pill, waited 5 minutes, and jumped into the bathtub. Her mother stood outside the door and yelled, "Is it working? Is it working?" That's the doctor. "Yes," said Bridget. "Everything is coming off." And Bridget was right. Everything had come off. When Bridget walked out of the bathroom, she was invisible. "Oh no," yelled her mother. "You can't go to school if you're invisible. You can't go to university if you're invisible. You will never get a job if you are invisible." Bridget, you have wrecked your life. "Don't worry," said Bridget. She ran into her room, got the special colored marker, and colored herself entirely all over so you couldn't tell the difference. In fact, she looked even better than before. Almost too good to be true. But her mother said, "Bridget, you can't go through life like that. You're just a picture. Everyone will know there is something wrong." "No, they won't," said Bridget. "Yes, they will," said her mother. Do you ever argue with your mother or your father or your auntie or your uncle or your grandparents? Oh, I can't imagine. No, I argue with people all the time. Sorry. So, Bridget says no one will notice. And her mother says, "Yes, they will." And then Bridget says, "No, they won't," said Bridget. "I colored Daddy while he was taking a nap, and you haven't noticed yet." "Good heavens!" yelled her mother. And she ran into the living room and looked at Daddy. He looked even better than before. Oh, almost too good to be true. "Doesn't he look great?" said Bridget. "I couldn't even tell the difference," said her mother. "Right," said Bridget. "And neither will he, so long as he doesn't get wet." The end. I hope you like that book. I have tons more books and we can read more. Because I used to be a teacher, I feel like I should give you an assignment. But you know what? Maybe why don't you just color a picture with coloring markers if you have them, or crayons or pencils or a pen, but on a piece of paper. And make sure it's an okay piece of paper to write on. You know, for me, sometimes when I'm looking for paper and I can't find any, I just use like the back of an envelope. Sometimes like we get a lot of junk mail. So maybe that would work if you can't find anything else. So anyway, I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.